Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley from with Spirit of Matter. This is a Venus day and Soul hour with the Sun exactly conjuncting an invisible Jupiter, 27 degrees of Taurus. So this is right next to a goal. And so I would like to bring in some energies and reverence for our goal. I actually have no idea if she's eclipsing today. And so to call on the shielding the truth and shielding in spirit and in matter, shielding from psychic attack, and to allow this broadcast as well to be psychic broadcast and for information to be alive. So Venus is applying to conjoin Uranus, but Venus is right now on the 22nd degree of Taurus. It's both the degree where we had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction taking place, beginning the 21st and the 22nd. This broadcaster's own lot of spirit. And it is a degree to do with assassination, but she entered this degree today. And I just found out that we had another attempted assassination 18 hours ago of Robert Fico, who is Prime Minister of Slovakia. And so I tried to do a live broadcast, but I have some technical issues. It was allowed one this morning, which you can watch with Japanese Prime Minister who was assassinated. And I looked at the chart now of Robert Fico, Prime Minister of Slovenia, and what his policies were is right-wing, so traditional family values, opposing mass immigration, but also refusing to sign the treaty of the WHO. And as you know, during this May, there was another step towards making the WHO and the WEF global organizations to be taking security decisions within countries. For those who wonder about who are the leaders who signed, who are the leaders who not signed, I'm afraid we are going to see this by assassination attempts. And I want to, first of all, acknowledge the fact that these people were not willing to sign the treaties. I do believe that there is something more going on here, because as we know, the alliance of right wing is as well a part of the cult. And so, but these people do face assassination attempts, so I don't claim to know everything. And I do, at this point, I don't know if he survived the attempt or not. So I'm broadcasting from this perspective. It is Friday, Venus Day, 17 May. Yes, I think. So happy solar return to Solar Gold people. And wish you, as myself, to be safe and free. So this is let's go to the chart, because I can't show you the chart, but I'm going to describe it to you. We don't have ascendant. We have Sun on 27th degree. A Sun on 22nd degree of Virgo, which is why I came to discuss it when the Venus is on the 22. And it is, as per Nicola Stojanovic, a degree of to kill and be killed. This Sun is trining Jupiter at 26 degrees of Taurus. So he just had a Jupiter return, and he has a Jupiter on Algol. Okay, for those of you who have solar returns and had solar returns today, yesterday, where the Sun is crossing Algol, please pay reverence to Algol. Okay, it's a good time to learn about Algol magic, shielding, protecting, If God forbid something like psychic attacks into you, the return to sender, do it only to the person who originally sent, okay, not through the shape, whatever, but to get directly to the energy, and give reverence to sexual boundaries, sensual boundaries, okay, survivors, the truth, speaking the truth. This is very important with this one. And so Jupiter Algol, I don't know if Algol was eclipsing on that day. Jupiter is the great magnifier of things, and Algol themes have to do with the truth, with sexual boundaries, um, and not being aligned with those brings severe consequences like alcoholism, addictions, also sexual dysfunction can be, especially Jupiter on the Algol. And so it does require a deeper quest for truth than some, and puts people through experiences on a mundane level that are not easy to do with at all. Um, so, not necessarily, okay, if she was on more benefic dates, also great wealth talisman, but this is something to know. So, Jupiter trining Sun, recently had Jupiter return with Jupiter Kazimi pretty much on the return, or Jupiter combust, I don't know, but Jupiter is actually invisible, so it's very likely Kazimi. Um, and or the other way around. But this means that when Jupiter is invisible, it takes away the things like morals that it usually brings. It is also important to understand that we do have the protection of Ereshkigal, which is ruling this, because this is a Venus ruled sign. This is Taurus. What else? Mercury on 5 degrees Virgo. Uranus on the 11th degree of Virgo. It's very likely to be the 11th degree. It's a slow moving planet, and that is yes, a person could be a rebel, but to the point of suicide. Pluto on 14 degrees Virgo, so the Pluto-Uranus generation. He was born in 64. Yes, I don't remember the date, September 21, 64. And this is, again, the Pluto Virgos, the 60s, those who were about 10, 11, 9 years old during the 73 oil crisis. That is important to analyze politically and astrologically, and I will do it probably in another video. So those two and a half giants, okay, Mercury at its home place in Virgo, Uranus on a suicide mission, rebel degree in Virgo, and Pluto in 14 degrees Virgo. It's already going to the middle phase of Virgo. And the Sun on the 22nd degree. So this is giving a person that, yes, could be murdered. Yes, it's possibility for such people to, yes, to be unalived. And so with this position, as a person have both lot of spirit and Mars retrograde in this position, one of the understandings is that, everybody dies. And so what the question is what you manage to do when you are alive. And so he would not sign the WHO, transition to power. He was right-wing leader. You have to be in some way affiliated with the cult if you are in such positions. But he wouldn't go as far as that. And another thing is that he has Saturn in Pisces, 0 degree Pisces, which means he just recently had Saturn return. It is still in progress until Saturn leaves Pisces, but the majority of his Saturn return he already had. His moon, okay, this is a moon Ketu But the moon is in Capricorn when Ketu is in Sag, together with Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. Yes? Is it Lilith there? In 27 degrees Sag? On my midheaven? So, my midheaven 26 Sag. Um, so this is Ketu with Lilith, bringing Rahu to 27 degrees Gemini. For people that are not me, it's not really relevant. It's just on my IC in Juno. but, but for people that are not me, it's not really that important or karmic to look at. I don't know, karmic, but more like fated. Um, and so it's a moon Ketu, moon in Capricorn, with the moon. We don't know the exact degree. So this moon is about trining the little Virgo stellium that he has. Very strong Virgo energy, with Mercury, the ruler, at the home sign. So this is a person who is trickery informed, but also the other side of Mercury is not just trickery, but also the ability to be trustworthy. So that is interesting in that regard. His Mars. Yes, Mars. And here, when he was assassinated, I think he was shot. Yes. Mars, it as a 0 degree. I don't remember the sign. A 0 degree. Is it Leo? Yes, probably. No, it doesn't make sense. 0 degree Libra? No, 64 already. It's another year. Same time, another year. Yes, I think this would be Leo this time. So, Mars, Leo. And what we had, we said Mars, Mercury, Sun, Venus. He's Venus. I don't remember. That's just good prevention of Alzheimer's. So for the part of, actually the moon has not even gone through his sun yet. I don't understand why was he assassinated, attempted to be assassinated yesterday. It's 18 hours ago. So I really don't know why yesterday. Maybe Mars was on the 11th? Yes, 11th degree is suicide. So it can be something very similar to the Japanese Prime Minister video that I did this morning. But I do want to take a note of this, and I do want to raise our awareness to assassination prevention, which basically means that we need to take our power back as people, and demand respect never before seen. It's also associated with Sedna. I need to understand more about the role of Sedna here. By the way, one of the places in which I've been seeing a fingerprint that is both the biometric stamp for, like, Sedna in Gemini, but it was surprising. And this was on an olive oil bottle yesterday. And perhaps if I'm to connect this with the person I think is connected with, then is why I'm talking about assassination prevention today. Why olive oil? I don't know. But there was a fingerprint on the olive oil company trade, and so they're doing something with the biometric. But why? Why? What's going on? What's underneath? I have no idea. And then we have all these assassinations of people who wouldn't sign the WHO one by one, but we know that they are in some alliance. So are they choosing this death? Is we don't know. Okay, do they choose to go now? What is presented here? Um, One, I told you, one assassination of prime minister that I was personally affected by when I was 12, around 12, yes, I was 12. No, 11, even earlier. That was the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. And this is something that is accompanying, is taken, is timely to address this. And now we see other, a series of assassination attempts. I think I have not seen anything like the threats on Mr. Geertwilder's ever in my life. I think he's winning in the very conspicuous competition of who has the most life threats uh, on Earth now. So that's one of the people, even before Sinwar. So, and recently he got to be Prime Minister of Netherlands and have a right-wing government. So yes, as per 2030, people are asking, everybody's asking, but we're also aware of the fact that those who didn't sign the treaty were assassinated or attempted assassinations. So this is something to take into consideration as we talk about both assassination prevention but also interception of 2030. We, the people, need to disobey en masse. And I also want you to understand that the majority of our leaders are with us on this. They might be assassinated anyway. They might not be able to help us. They can't save us. They're trapped in these cults. But it doesn't mean that they don't support freedom. And want us to see just, how many people were at this point losing their heads over this. So whether it was something that they didn't quite understand, or that by the time that they understood what is going on, they were already so deep in the cult, or that they changed their mind, or that they wanted to intercept this, which for some is also true. And at any case, when we talk about assassination prevention, the way that people are assassinated and the role of the enforcement around it is that they just, it's kind of like the tearing of the Red Sea when coming out of Egypt, but instead of freedom, is that the assassinator is allowed. And the assassinator, the assassin themselves, they don't know until the last moment if this is exercised or not. This is what happened with Prime Minister Rabin, is that the assassin shouted, this is false, srak, srak, this is false. Is very likely what he was told. So he probably had no idea if it is a real thing or not a real thing. It doesn't mean that he didn't want to kill Prime Minister Rabin, or he did want to kill Prime Minister Rabin. But we understand that the assassin at this point is like the atomic veterans, and there's a CIA ex spy that is, or intelligence person that is exposing these things as well. From his point of view, from the American intelligence. And so people are not told, it's a part of the drill. They don't know what's going to be. So you come, you have an exercise. You don't know if this is to exercise a situation, or simulate a situation of assassination, or you assassin. And then you have already alibi, you have already motive, you know what to tell in this case, in which case, and you don't know if it's going to be this or that. You're gonna, if you both don't know if you're gonna get caught or not, but also not, you have various cover stories, and you don't know if it is real or not real, and you have to play the scene as though it's real. This is what I figured. If I comprise the stories, yes, is what I figured. So we understand assassination is from the cult. And so this is when we talk about prevention. So the best prevention is, of course, to not to get into the cult, but whenever you want to make a living or to escape death and concentration camps that are put for the disabled in every country, then you have to cooperate to some extent with the cult, and for many things you don't know exactly what and why. I was telling my own story where I got degree funded, um, and they thought I would market like psychiatric drugs probably, but they didn't know it, and I didn't know anything about this. I just felt that what they give me is not good for me. So taking what's not good for me, took only something small to keep the doctors not worried. That's how I thought. Um, but this is, yes, basically a form of selling your body to the medical field to get life extension. And when I was no longer, but they saw that I'm moving towards first my thesis proposal, or for moving towards actually a completely other direction. I was abandoned and was in the street. And so the only reason I was not in working camps because they thought I would be public speaker and my business would be supporting the cult. When that was not the case, then poof, I was wrong. It took me time to realize this because I was encouraging people, okay, treat you know, if you have mental health crisis, you can get studies, you can get this, you can get that, you can get supportive with housing and so on and so forth. But I had no idea what's behind this. And so there was tremendous assassination attempts towards me when I was not going to that direction. At first through the medical, and when I've not, you know, I'm not criminal, then that was, yes, the situation, but of course I cannot work, you understand. And so what I do this series of episodes is to both pay awareness to assassination attempts and also for you to be aware that sometimes you try, you think, I would vote right, I would vote left, I vote this leader, that leader, and I want you to understand that we the people are needing to take sovereignty to our hands. But this is not because the leaders or the public figures are against us or even don't care about us. There are various forms of various people, and they're very much trapped within their own circumstances, as you are. Okay, another episode that I was thinking to do today, as Venus trines Pluto, was to go with you over my my very humble investment portfolio that I've basically obligated to when I have attempt to have a business, but I did not manage to get the companies in which I am invested at, which should be exposed to me. So my information to you is that I don't get a report of which companies am I invested in. It's not coming to me with the monthly report. Yes, you can see how I would have to go through I don't know, trying to have call center or whatnot, but it's not reported to me. Which companies, how did my investments do is one thing. Another thing, who am I invested in? How does my money compound when it comes to life insurance? That I'm basically obligated, saving into pension is basically I'm obligated to have, whether I'm self-employed or not. It's not a bad thing to save money, yes, but the fact that we don't know kind of what we are invested in, and therefore to change those things, to withdraw the money, we don't have full transparency. And I addressed this before. So the dispersion of investments, it looks very, humble, passive profile, under 50, between trust funds, bonds, what else they have, hedge funds, and all these things, and they suppose kind of like, it looks like equal distribution, but I have no idea what do these trust funds, what do these hedge funds, whose bonds am I invested in. I have no, it's not displayed to me, it's not written to me, as if I'm not supposed to even know that, and I'm obligated to invest a certain amount of my money, from even when I don't have income, in these all these places. So this is a huge source of, by the merit of supposedly, yes, it's good to save and so on, and it's not going to grant me a retirement. Yes, I've no retirement here, but what it's going to do is going to compound money that is my money, even if through supposedly welfare, as welfare it's basically the compound interest of what I made when I was working. when you calculate things, I'm not even living on taxpayers' money other than myself. Even still today, and if you take into account that I wasn't accredited for my contribution in terms of creative rights of writing, the way you in sales, writing an ethical and fair and just proposal to clients in a way that there was no even an issue about this, and knowing exactly the clientele of when this is right for them, when it's wrong for them. So if I would take this into account, I don't have to work ever. But they never gave me what I'm accredited to. And if they did, I would reinvest it into actually making an economy that is in favor of the people, rather than what they do today is more important. And there is enough. There is enough. You ask any economist, they would tell you there is enough. The only people that I met, whether when I was doing apprenticeship in the Israeli-Palestinian Chamber of Commerce, yes, there is one, an ex-Shabak, Mossad, sorry, an ex-Mossad person was running it. And it was an economist that said to me, "This is enough. This is enough. It's enough for everyone. It's enough. Instead of for the army, they could take people to volunteer. It's more than enough. You can have more than enough money, more than enough resources." And when there was a Paris Fund for Peace, yes, they knew what they were. These guys knew what they were talking about, and this is on a global level. So I want you to know there is enough. And this is why when I define politics, I say the distribution of wealth or the distribution of power, and not the distribution of wealth or power or resources under limited resources, because our resources are not as limited as we think they are. And in most cases, we do not have a game theory problem. It is man-made. Most cases, it is man-made. We have the technology to have May here in the desert. I would be probably in a horrid situation, but I have fresh air in the day. It's hot, yes, but I have fresh air in the day. And sometimes there was even in previous months rain for my crops, my 2.5 tomatoes that I love very dearly. so, um, so we have the technology to do this. Some people even say the aurora that people seen recently, it was the HAARP, HAARP, where they study the aurora lights, but they can imitate the aurora lights. Okay, we have the technology to do pretty much anything we freaking wanna. And so there is way more than enough for all of us. It doesn't negate nature. We still need nature because this technology is reliant upon nature and we are part of nature. I guess Sedna Gemini is going to clarify this even more from this perspective. And so we will see a line of assassination attempts and even assassination of people who supposedly do not comply with 2030. And people are going to be very frightened. It's a part of the shock and terror to terrorize us into kind of like a one world state. But it's also to show us that people are taking a stance. People are taking a stance against this. And some of them come from like traditional place. We don't want this, we don't want that. But not only. And yes, you did. To have ethics around medicine, you don't need to be reverting to there is only two sex and therefore only two genders. No, you don't need that. You need an ethical medicine, which we don't have, and therefore it suffice to not have treatments in children which are not in the age of consent that have implications and are irreversible. This is suffice. And that you don't have to be going back to sex, not gender. There are only two genders and blah, blah, blah. And something is actually unnatural. Even in nature, we have gay couples, we have sometimes even gay geese like kidnapping babies and taking care of them. So also these things we have, yes, it's nature, but you don't have to revert back to that in order to talk about medical ethics, and this is true to your niece as much as it's true to your niece. And I say this not for nothing. I tell it again. I have a Facebook friend who is dentist, and he had ligament torn of the knee, and he had been told by the doctor, if you do surgery, you can go back to play your favorite sport. If you don't do surgery, yes, you will heal, but never so much so you can play your favorite sport. Of course, he did surgery, then need another surgery, and I think eventually, in spite of the surgeries, he will be back in shape. So that is current, and it doesn't mean that medicine doesn't exist. Talked about happy birthday to Solar Gold people. As no, a person who had been a war veteran, and if not for medicine, he would probably be left in the battlefield and not live. So this is not that there is no medicine or we shouldn't honor the role of the knife in medicine, but the role of the knife is when you need the knife, not when you need to butcher 1,000 people so that, so that, as long as this person is good for us, yes, keep him alive, butcher him, but later, as we gonna decapitate him whenever we wanna. That's also not a humane way to treat people. So sort of like keep them alive, but only so much so that they serve the cult. And then they are learned to do this to other people. I know because he tried to do this to me. So I understood that what was done to me, he was done to him, and the point is not to blame him, but to change, to go, to break through this cycle. So back to the person that triggered the topic of discussion today. that is Robert Fico. So from this point of view, I don't know if he survived, not survived. Mars with Rahu, unfortunately, when it was maybe on the 11th degree, that brought perhaps these assassination attempts. If so, it can be that he chose to go in this way. And it's important for us that it's with the people. It's with the people. The more we are aware, the more we can bring in, the more, first of all, certain things have no power over us. Okay, the less fingers we point at people who don't really have the position of power to genuinely change things and get away with that and live. And so the less we expect, the less we put our energies in expecting a savior in a leader, right or left, and the more we can take back the power and understand that there are other solutions, there are other things. There's a thing such as psychic broadcast. There is, if you talk about shadow banning, just as a psychic attack, there's also psychic broadcast, and our energy is open and receptive. And people can be open and receptive to us. So there is definitely such a thing as we the people raising awareness and creating solutions together, working with the elements, okay, air, fire, soil, water, for what we have, and seeing how do these things comprise, and every person have their own calling in regards. But if you still expect that, if you still live in the consciousness of, oh, finally I'm hardworking person, finally I don't have to pay so much taxes, yes, it's not okay for the disabled to take my taxes, okay, this is the type of thinking that first of all will make you disabled, and very soon, and will make the money that you save not yielding. It's okay, some medicine will take it, but will not be medicine. And so I tell you, this is in a way the fact that I was sick very soon at workplaces when I was not doing the right thing for me, was not in right environment for me. Then it tells very, very deeply that I got through this by being attuned and understanding that this what's medically wrong with me is because of the courses in my life that need to change. And so I understood this, but for most people, they just get sick and then they go to all the doctors, they doesn't help, then they go to what they call a sham doctor. The sham doctor told them, no, create something, create this, create that. I can't have to get up in this and that hour in the morning, and then they try to bridge in the conversation to create a sort of bridge between worlds until a person either get so sick, so much so that they cannot do the job anymore, or they manage to bridge. And now it's another problem because it's the change is social, it's not just the personal. This is why I'm, instead of receiving patients at this point in time, I'm speaking publicly about this, because I feel very weird about taking money, and it's a lot of money. Okay, essential oils cost a lot. A time with me so much that I would be able to finance myself cost a lot. So it's not financial for me to do this in that way. It's not financial for you too. Okay, I could say, okay, I tax you for, let's say, your bad decision, but no, it's not your bad decision. You were not educated. You were not told of this information, and it's not. It would be enabling the cult for me to blame you for your decisions when I don't provide for you the ability to make better decisions. And so this is yes. And when I know that these people are trapped in cults, then I use whatever means that I do have to get of what I don't have, okay? It's like I did in high school. You work with what you have to gather what you don't. And going back to me, the filmmaker that's working with the camera that was from high school, and the sets that were, and the settings, and that's it. So this is what we have for We the People. Take actual steps towards the accomplishments of your dreams, is what I have to say to you, and you are exposed to the information that is helpful to you along the way. And so you are less dependent of whether this prime minister will manage to save us from the global entities, but you understand that they cannot do this without the people. They cannot get out of the cold and stay safe and free without we the people. They cannot do this without us. They cannot be sovereign. A nation cannot be sovereign without sovereign people. And so it's we the people that take on our sovereignty. And disobedience is not against the leaders if they enforce 2030 stuff, but it's actually for them. I want you to think about Nazi Germany, and I want you to think about the person who is in the army in Nazi Germany. They don't have the ideology of Nazi this, but they say maybe from their point they can help someone. But then they understand that most of the ways in which they could help someone are already being taken away, tended to. And so they understand that if they die, then they lose the chance to help another person for what they do have. So when to comply, when to not comply in that regard. And also, I want you to understand that if you disobey them and run away, they are not sad. They're with you. Many of them, not all of them. Some of them the other way around completely. But many of them with you. Within this, whether it's the police, whether it's Supreme Court, whether it's this structure, whether all this structure, whether it's the cult, whether it's people you don't know their names, there are many people trapped there. And if you set yourself free, it's not on the expense and not necessarily, it's actually what you need to do. It's actually what you need to do. So I hope, this is from my vantage point of what I see it, and I hope that you understand that and that you free yourself and focus on this rather than the places that are not contributing so much to our own well-being and freedom, and allow ourselves to have other ways. Necessity is the mother of invention. Other ways, because and also trust that nature corrects itself. Like I said, the neurodivergence we have today from the toxins of the Industrial Revolution. What is the greatest trait of neurodivergent people other than masking? They disobey because they simply cannot. So trust that all is well in this regard is actually correct. So I hope you have a good day. And I don't know if I will publish this today, and I think to publish this next Friday, because not to bombard you with videos. So I don't know the fate of Robert Franco at the point of the broadcast, and we'll keep it in this way.